Hey, this is Brett the Hitman Hart, and you're listening to the Smacked Raw podcast.
Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome to the Smack Raw podcast. I am your host, SES Vince, and with me tonight is a very special guest, a very good friend of the show, Matt Ritter from the Smackin' the Raw podcast. No relation. How's it going, my man?
It's going great, man. I'm really happy to be here. We had Arn on last week. We were talking about how you guys have basically become our stepbrothers in podcasting.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
No, the pleasure is all mine, man. Thank you for covering NXT with me. So before we go ahead and cover NXT, I'd like to get a couple of plugs out of the way. I want to remind you guys to go ahead and follow and subscribe to the show wherever you consume all your podcasts. Use the hashtag SmackedNXT to get a shout out on the show or get a question answered by either me or Matt. Also, download this and all Smack Raw podcast episodes. Follow us on social media at SmackRawPod, at SES Vince. And Matt, I'll let you plug your stuff so people can they can know where they can find you.
Easiest thing for you guys to do is come follow me on Twitter. It's at Matt Ritter. That is at MATTRIDDER. In my profile, in my pin tweet, we'll have the link tree so you guys can find the audio and video versions of our podcast. We are the number one wrestling podcast on Pornhub, so we are available there. I know that's where Vince watched us this week.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, because I was looking for the YouTube video, right? So I'm over here waiting because I found out that Aaron was going to be on the show on Friday. So I'm like, I'm over here waiting for it to I'm refreshing on YouTube. I'm like, it has to be on Pornhub already. So I went on Pornhub. I found the show. I took a screenshot. I tagged you and RN on the show on the picture, just to let you guys know I watched it and I support you guys. And again, a quick shout out to my co-host RN. He's going through some tough time right now, some family issues. We wish him the best. RN, we're thinking about you, and get back to the show whenever you can, man. We got you.
Absolutely, man. I'm here to kind of step in for you. You handle your business. I appreciate the honor bestowed upon me of being able to kind of fill in your shoes, and I hope I do you justice. So.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's get to the meat of the show. Overall, in a nutshell, what you thought of NXT?
I liked it this week. I don't think it lived up to the billing. The billing made it seem like it was going to be a takeover with everything that they said we were getting this week, and I think they played it very safe, which is good and it makes sense. But you guys kind of talked about it. We talked about it. NXT's also kind of been like on the fast forward or the fast track as far as storylines and everything go.
Mm-hmm.
Which I haven't been a big fan of, but no, this week was for what it was good. I just don't know if it lived up to the billing that it had.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go more in depth when we cover those matches, but it was kind of interesting that both the title matches had an interesting finish in similar fashion. We had an issue, especially when you talk about the Io and Charlotte match, and again, we'll get more in depth on it when we get there. But there was an issue there. That was a roadblock. How do you book that match? What do you do with that? And they found their way out. So we started off tonight with the brand new all heart, no soul Johnny Gargano taking on Dominik Dijakovic. First off, man, he came out with new theme song. Are you feeling the new theme song?
I am and I'm not. I like that they're committing to the heel character by giving him a new theme song. The video was great. I'm going to have to listen to it a few more times just to see how I feel about it because, I mean, Rebel Heart is such, like, that's Johnny Gargano, and it's got the lyrics, and it's something that you can kind of grab onto. This felt more generic heelish, and you didn't have the fun, like, Candice didn't come out and do the intro like Johnny did for Candice when she debuted last week. So this was just kind of him coming out. The background, the visuals were great and all that. The actual song itself, though, I don't know. It's gonna have to take a little while to grow on me.
Yeah, that's a thing that NXT has recently, or WWE as a whole. Once they repackage someone with a new theme song, you go ahead and, especially if they go heel, they get just a generic heel theme. I would have liked them to do something that they used to do back in the day, especially with Cody Rhodes. Remember, he had the smoke and mirrors, and then they remixed it to a slower, more methodical version when he went to the Doctor Doom a face mask Cody. Maybe something like that where they change it and alter the the audio a bit, maybe.
Well, that's fantastic because they did the same thing for Bray Wyatt. They took the Wyatt family theme and then they had Code Orange do the remix for the Fiend.
Yeah,
And it's the
exactly.
same song, but it's done completely different because it's a different character. And I love that idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early, so you never know. They might go ahead and just change that entirely up. NXT has done that, where Samoa Joe is the perfect example, where he came out with one theme song. After a couple of weeks, it wasn't working. Then they switched it up to the theme song that everybody knows and loves today. So maybe there's still time. They might change it up. NXT is a little bit more on the we'll fix stuff if it needs to be fixed. WWE usually, like main roster, especially Vince McMahon, likes to like, no, this is what we're doing. I'm putting my foot down, and by God, it's gonna happen.
It's good shit. They're gonna love it.
It's good shit. This match was good shit, man. I love this match. Dijakovic is becoming one of my favorite wrestlers. He's becoming a little bit more personable because you get a bit of who he is now. He's not just like generic, big, athletic, big guy on NXT. What you thought of the match, man?
Like you said, it was a good match. Johnny's always fantastic. I'm enjoying Johnny's heel work. I love that Candice came down and kind of, got involved on Johnny's behalf. So it didn't look like when, Johnny got the win here that he was just beating Dijakovic because unfortunately, even though he's developing a character and kind of becoming something, he's just been eating pins left and right. Like he's losing to Priest, he's losing to Keith Lee, now he's losing to Johnny Gargano.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've talked about, that's kind of an issue that NXT has when they don't really have big plans for someone, or they're using someone to kind of push someone else as they just keep burying that person or pinning that person. I don't want to say burying, but
yeah.
They just he's taking a lot of losses, so he needs something to kind of push him forward. But we're definitely, with that iPhone video from last week and what we've seen this week, we're getting more from him than what we got with this tall, quiet guy that would put on banger matches with Keith Lee.
Yeah, for sure. Because that was the one thing he was missing, I felt like, was he had a good look to him. He had a solid catchphrase that you can get the crowd to chant with you, the feast your eyes. And he's great in the ring. And the dynamic with Johnny Gargano was great because this is the first time I think I've seen him, other than like some squash matches, where he's legitimately the bigger guy. And he started off the match dominating Johnny Gargano. It wasn't until Candice came in and distracted him where Johnny, picked things up and turned the tides for himself.
The feast your eyes thing bugs me. I'm not about that. And I talk about how I don't like Kenny Omega. It's more of the pointing and the over dramatic exaggerations just don't do it for me. The feast your it's a little out there. Like it's not The Rock doing just bring it and calling someone to get their ass kicked.
Right.
Like that shit. It's a little played out for me. That part I don't enjoy. But overall, dude kills it in the ring.
I think that's you're right. It's not for everyone, but that's a perfect WWE stuff because even like Drew McIntyre, he does the 1, 2, 3 countdown for the Claymore now. That's like standard WWE stuff. They kind of want to have something for the baby faces so the crowd can cheer them on when they're having a match, and that might play to his advantage. But yes, like you said, it's not for everyone. But I like that the story here was basically that he could have beat Johnny Gargano if it wasn't for Candice LeRae, because the distraction allows Gargano to start to remove the turnbuckle pad in the corner, and Dijakovic stops him, obviously, right? He's preventing that from happening. Again, Candice tries to distract the ref. He goes back into the turnbuckle. They do a setup where he has Johnny in the powerbomb position, and as he's being carried away, he manages to pull off the turnbuckle pad and hit Dijakovic into it, leading into his finish. And what you think of the new name for his finish? I thought that was kind of unique and perfect for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, this whole sequence was great. The removing of the turnbuckle, all this, it's all fantastic. As you said, the name matches the new persona, the heel persona of Johnny Gargano perfectly. The whole ending of the match worked for me. Like I said, this was a great way to kick off NXT.
Yeah, and they might not be done. They could go ahead and extend this feud for a little bit. Let this be that first feud that Johnny Gargano does to build up that heel character and get some babyface heat on Dijakovic, get some sympathy going his way because he's being screwed out of these matches. I love that the one final beat is a perfect name for a finisher, and I love that and commentary alluded to this. That's the name of the match where he ended things with Ciampa. So it's perfect.
Exactly.
I love everything. And before we move on, to address the whole Candice not doing the same thing that Johnny was for Candace last week, where she was on the mic introducing Johnny. I kind of want that to be Johnny's thing, where he's just simping over his wife, and his wife is like the badass, and she's more of a dom, and he's like he's the sub in the relationship. That's how I want that dynamic to go.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was just saying that it was different, and because when Candace came out, she had her new music.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice added element that they gave Candace that was kind of something missing from Johnny's, because it's now our new introduction to this music, and he just kind of comes out, and the music wasn't anything special. So
yeah. I think the music is the big thing, where it's like, yeah, maybe let's fine tune that a bit, but the ingredients are there, and we'll see what's in the horizon for Johnny Gargano going forward. Maybe more Dijakovic, maybe he moves on to someone else. But let's move on to the promo we had from Imperium, where they officially went out and challenged Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher for the NXT title match. And we're going to get that next week. Before we get predictions, I'm going to save that for the end of the show. I thought the promo was so fantastic.
I did too. Was Fabian Eichner doing an accent though?
He was so totally doing an accent.
I swear I've heard him talk before, and he did not have an accent, but he was definitely trying to put on that Italian accent here, like or European accent, whatever the fuck he was trying to do. But I was like, It just didn't. It was off to me. Like
it felt like he was trying to really sell it, because maybe it was a thing where like he was hanging around the UK people too much, and he just kind of like instinctively started doing the accent.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it was just that.
If you move somewhere for a long time, you kind of pick up the dialect and the accent a little bit. You live in New York. If you're not from New York, you get a New York accent. Yeah, I got you. But it was just weird, because I know I've heard him talk before, and then he started talking. I'm like, that's not the same voice that I've heard before.
It totally wasn't. It was completely different. But the context of the promo, I loved. I think, man, these guys are so good. I want them to get the titles. Actually, I wouldn't be opposed to the idea of them trading the titles back and forth a bit.
And I was thinking the same thing. Like, if they do win this, because you still have Pete Dunne over in NXT UK, and technically that is the real tag team, that if they do beat Thatcher and Riddle and take the titles, when all this Corona shit clears up, we can then revisit that with the actual tag team of Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle and get back to that. And I'm surprised these guys didn't win the tag team titles yet over in NXT UK. So to have them win here,
they never won the titles over there?
Not that I know of, no. Not those
wow,
two.
Really? That's surprising. I would have figured that NXT UK would have done something like that, where Imperium has both the tag titles and the UK World title.
Nope.
Interesting. We learn stuff every day on the Smack Raw podcast.
Hey, listen, I can't do the Evolve stuff. Like, I had something planned for later where I was going to like make up fake Evolve facts just in honor of RN.
Yeah.
I don't watch it, but I do watch NXT UK. So if I can throw that to you.
Yeah, that's perfect, man. That's perfect. I'm pretty sure RN would be proud. He's a big UK guy too. He fills me in on UK a lot. But let's talk about cruiserweight tournament action. We had a Group B matchup between Akira Tozawa versus Gentleman Jack Gallagher. Honestly, man, I'm just going to say it, man. There was nothing special. This was just a standard match you'd see on 205 Live. I've seen this matchup before. The match itself was cool, but it's nothing special, man. It's like a double cheeseburger at McDonald's, man. It's good, it's solid, but it's nothing special. Nothing I've seen before.
I not only agree, but you saw what I put out on Twitter, where we've got Akira Tozawa now 2-0, and I understand he's a former NXT, or not NXT, but 205 Live Cruiserweight champion. But he's getting jobbed out on Raw every week. So what does that say if the guy that's losing on Raw every week is coming into this tournament and beating all of this talent? Not only about him, but about everyone in this tournament. If they can't beat a guy that can't get a win on Raw,
right. I mean, that's a fair point, Matt, but I'm going to go with the argument saying that that's different universe. NXT is non-canon to Vince McMahon. I know a lot of people hate hearing that excuse, because it's a terrible excuse. You know, you're running their company. These are your three main shows. Come on, you should know. I like to think that this is a different Akira Tozawa. This like universe 616, just like Aaron was saying on the Smackin Raw podcast with you guys last week. It feels like it's two different Tozawas. Two different Tozawas are being showcased here.
Don't forget, as we also brought up on that podcast, they also did use the history between Andrade and Drew in that little setup that they had. So it's not all non-canon.
That's true, man. I again, you know,
maybe it's like Star Wars. They just kind of pick and choose what they want to make canon.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. They pick and choose when they want to bring up NXT and when they don't. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. It doesn't make sense. Tozawa, but then again, his losses have been to guys like Aleister Black and Bobby Lashley, guys that you would expect would be higher ranked power levels wise, if you want to use Dragon Ball Z terms, against the rest of the guys in the tournament.
And I agree with that, but I'm saying if you're going to build this guy up in a cruiserweight tournament, getting him, I mean, they've got plenty of talent that they don't need to jab Tozawa out to these guys. You know what I'm saying? Don't use him now. Use somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Use somebody in the tournament that you're going to have lose instead, like Tony Nese, Arn's boy. You can't get a fucking win. Job him out on Raw, not the guy that you're making 2-0 on fucking NXT in this cruiserweight tournament.
Fair point, man. Fair point. So Tozawa did win with the top rope senton bomb. He gets he's 2-0 now in the tournament. We'll talk about the next cruiserweight title match because I want to ask you a question there.
Well, I'm actually Tozawa's promo at the end. I'm pleasantly surprised that they didn't do what they've been doing and force him to sound like he speaks really bad broken English, and they just kind of let him talk. Because I know that they've made, and I've seen this myself, Asuka and Shinsuke, when they do their promos, they kind of make them talk more broken English than they actually do. They're actually much better well-spoken in English than they do because they're playing up that character stereotype. They let him talk, or at least he went out and talked, and I understood every word he said. And it wasn't, hard to listen to. Like, it was clear and concise. He did his thing. So.
No, I like that. And dude, that's night and day between NXT and main roster. That's something that Triple H has always been vocal about. And when it comes to Japanese talent, you saw that with Shinsuke, Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, Asuka, and even Meiko. I'm gonna forget her.
Satomura?
Yes, when they were in the Mae Young Classic, they let these foreign wrestlers do their promos in their native language and they'll put it like subtitles. Or if they're gonna speak in English, they let them just like go at it. And honestly, it's a nice change of pace. I'm pretty sure Arn appreciated the fact that they actually let Tozawa, talk proper English.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about the next match. Relatively quick match. We had Xia Li taking on Chelsea Green. It was, like I said, very quick. Aaliyah comes out early on in the match to distract Xia Li. Does it like twice. And Chelsea Green picks up the victory with a very botched unprettier. She needs to fix that. That is like the second time she's hit that. Like, she just can't hit it that good because what happens is, I guess there's a timing issue. I don't know if it's her. I don't know if it's her opponent. But she comes down. Her opponent hits the ground before she falls down with them. So they're supposed to fall down together, just like Christian.
Yeah, no, that's Christian's move.
Even Tyler Breeze was using it for a minute there. So and she's using like a modified version of it where she jumps up and then down with the opponent. Usually Christian would just do it and then fall down with you.
And I think that's the problem is I don't think they're anticipating the jump. I think they're dropping for the move. And then she jumps up, and that's where the awkwardness comes. So there needs to be some kind of communication with her and her opponent, or if she knows she's going to have a match, go in there and practice that so that they can get the timing right or whatever it is. Maybe they're just used to, taking that move a certain way, and she adds a little something to it that they're not used to. I was really excited. Like, I've been called a casual fan because I only watch WWE and now AEW, and I don't watch Impact or New Japan or MLW or Ring of Honor, but I hear a lot, of course we do. We're all in the wrestling community. You hear about what's going on in other places. And I heard great things about this Chelsea Green and the character that she was doing, the hot mess and everything. So when she got signed, I was really excited to see what she was going to bring from Impact, which traditionally has a great women's division, over to NXT. And her and Robert Stone, other than that mock porno that they shot a couple weeks ago, has not impressed me one bit, and I'm really disappointed.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I was kind of like hoping there would actually be a brand and Robert Stone would actually start recruiting people, and Chelsea Green wasn't like the face of his like brand. Because honestly, like, man, I get what they're trying to do, but for me, I feel like she's like, no pun intended, she's a little green for me. She's a little green. Like I guess she's just like, maybe it's like the setup. Maybe she's just not used to like working on camera that much, even though she was on Impact. Maybe it's a different routine, different methods.
When she had that match on Raw against Charlotte and she came out in all black leather and shit, she actually looked good in that match. And that was probably more so Charlotte and her opponent. But, she had a good showing there. And I was like, all right, this is kind of what I want to see. I know you're not a huge Aaliyah fan. Am I correct in saying that?
I think she's gonna be relegated to the mid card of NXT for the rest of her career.
Okay.
I don't think she's going anywhere.
So, as much as you don't like her, I think that Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne, with the way they presented Chelsea Green,
Mm-hmm.
would be fantastic additions, especially with Aaliyah helping, even though I know they've just kind of used that Aaliyah Zia weird side story thing as a way to get
Right.
Chelsea a win here, would be great additions to the Robert Stone brand if he's going to build a brand, because they have a similar personality and outlook on things. I think that those three women would mesh well under his stable and would actually do something for Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah, pairing her with Chelsea Green.
Oh, I totally agree with you, man. I think that's a great idea. And commentary kind of alluded to that because afterwards, there was some exchanges of looks between Aaliyah, Robert Stone, and Chelsea Green. Almost like maybe there's like a prospect there that they can pick up for the Robert Stone brand. They played it up. We'll see if they actually do something with that, or if that was just to tease something they'll never go ahead and touch. But I like your idea of making like a female faction. That's new. That's different. We haven't seen that since like back when they debuted all the women from NXT at the same time and made Team Bad, Team Bella, and PCB and stuff. So that'd be kind of cool to see. I'd like to see a female faction, a woman faction, I should say.
And they really botched that too. So
They botched that too. What it didn't botch is this Karrion Kross and Scarlett NXT debut. This entrance was fire, man. Tell me how much, on a scale of 1 to 1,000,000, how much did you love this?
dude, I don't even know how to put it into words because I feel like this was amazing. I need to see it in front of a crowd and not in the PC. Like even at Full Sail in front of a crowd, it was like watching a fucking like old school rock music video with her singing and what she was wearing with the fishnets and the claws and the smoke and the black and white and just everything. Dude, it was insane. And everyone was all, oh, they changed his name to Carrie and he's Killer Cross, and people were saying he should go to the main roster first and all this crazy shit. NXT is the perfect place for him because I don't know who the fuck he is. So if you put him on Raw, it's like, okay, who the fuck is this guy? But in NXT, that's what I expect. I learned about Kevin Owens here. I learned about Shinsuke here. Hell, I learned about Finn Balor here. And I love the Demon and the entrance and everything they did. This is the perfect place for him, and that was outside of the match. Just the presentation alone was enough to fucking, I'm behind it. I'm with it. I want to see more.
And here's the thing, man. I was one of those guys that, I thought like, he's all right, but I don't know if he'll ever be like a top guy. I don't get the hype behind Killer Cross yet. But that entrance, dude, that's the best entrance I've seen since Alistair's debut. That dude, NXT has this great. Here's the thing: if it was main roster, that entrance wouldn't be as badass. Look what they did to Ricochet, Shinsuke, Alistair. They're gonna ruin it when he gets to main roster.
Well, they have the only thing that they've done to Alistair is they added that coffin fucking noise, and same thing with Ricochet. They added the pew pew in his fucking entrance.
No, they changed the entire thing. They got rid of his lasers. He does like the entrance completely different. Like Vince saw him do that backflip thing, and then he's like, "Do that for your entrance instead." It is what it is, man. But again, fire entrance. It was a total squash match, though, man. Poor Leon Ruff. This is what he's like WWE's personal jobber to the stars, I guess, because he loses to Sheamus. I think Bobby Lashley as well. He's losing to everybody they want to put in a squash match. Leon Ruff, poor guy.
No, but I mean, hey, he's working. He's getting paid.
Yeah, he is getting paid.
There are a lot of independent wrestlers out there right now who are looking for work or looking to kind of make some money. If it was this shit going on and you told me come on in and just get crushed by everyone and we'll sign you a paycheck, I'd come in and get squashed every week. Just keep signing that check.
I think he's a performance center guy, though. I think everyone that WWE is using are performance center people that haven't debuted on TV just yet. But yeah, dude, again, man, I'm still mind blown about the whole thing.
Dude, the bird that looked like angel wings as she's standing there with the cape, and then he comes out and she drops the cape and comes around. She had claws in her gloves like fucking Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, it was perfect. I totally am behind the idea that this guy can be a top draw in NXT. Just that entrance alone is going to get him there.
So I need to see more of him in ring, and I need to see him actually put on matches, NXT, what I consider NXT quality matches, because NXT has consistently outshined in ring what we see on Raw and SmackDown. You know, the hard-hitting, fast-paced, 20-minute just knockdown, drag-out, badass matches that we get from NXT. I need to see him in one of those matches with a guy like Keith Lee or something before I'm really sold on him. Wasn't a huge fan of the finish because he's doing another
rear naked
choke. The cross jacket, which I hate the name, by the way. That's a terrible name. But yeah, it's the same thing I said about Bobby Lashley with the spear. Everyone does a spear. You got the Kirifuda clutch. You got the Koji clutch. You got the Kohina clutch. You got
Oscar lock.
Yeah, everyone's doing a rear naked choke. So why do a rear naked choke?
Yeah, I can't remember if he was doing this on the Indies or Impact or whatever, but I would change it up. I would do something else, or at least have a secondary finisher. Let that be like the one that you like just want to destroy people with, but like have a quick one. I'm always big on wrestlers having an alternate finisher because that's what you do in video games, man. You make two different finishers so you can hit them both.
I'm with you 100%.
All right, so let's move on, man. Next up, we had the very anticipated match, NXT Women's Title match between Io Shirai and Charlotte. Before the match, we got this really cool takeover-esque video package hyping up the match. It got me, man. That video package was perfect. They really used Io Shirai how she was supposed to be used. They let her cut her promo in Japanese with the subtitles on the bottom. Charlotte, like, talking her stuff. Beautiful. Perfect. Couldn't ask for anything better. When the match did start, the one thing I noticed was the glaring size disadvantage between Io and Charlotte. I forget how short Io is, and I met her, and she's, like, legit at my shoulder. So I'm, like, maybe, like, 5'7", 5'8", and she's, like, at my shoulder when I met her. And then Charlotte's probably, like, almost 6 feet, if not at 6 feet. She made Io look like Marco Stunt in the ring. I'm sorry. That's the first thing. They were like, God damn, like, she is small. That's the first thing I noticed.
See, I didn't because we've seen Io in the ring with the likes of, like, a Rhea Ripley, you know, and I didn't get that impression with Rhea. So that wasn't something I took away from this. I will say, like you said, that the packages that they put together, hyping this match and everything were great. I was very afraid going into this match because I love Io Shirai. And I like
look at the shirt I'm wearing. Obviously, we were both behind her.
Bianca Belair, they did this thing where she kept getting title matches just to lose, and they've done the same thing with Io Shirai. She's lost to Shayna. She lost to did she have a match with Rhea and lost to Rhea? I feel like she's she's lost a couple times to Shayna, maybe.
She's had a couple title matches, but they were before her turning heel. Ever since she turned heel, she hasn't had an official title match.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, go
ahead.
She keeps losing, and I don't want to see her be another person that keeps getting opportunities and then being used as like a stepping stone for Charlotte. I thought this was way too soon to do this match. You know, she won that. I wanted to see this stretched out. I wanted to see this later on at like a takeover or something, but who knows if or when we're going to get another takeover because they canceled the one before WrestleMania. I haven't heard that they're going to do another one at all until arenas open back up. So
yeah, probably, man. We'll see, but let's touch on the match. It was a solid match between them up until the point where like Charlotte just decided to like she had enough of Io. She took her to the outside, brought out a kendo stick, and just struck her with it. Very similar to what she did to Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series when she couldn't beat her. And that was I feel like that's a story that they're going to try to play up, that Io could have won it and Charlotte wasn't ready for Io, because she even tweeted, I don't know if it was out of character or not, but she made a tweet saying something along the lines of like, I don't normally walk away from a match thinking that I need to get better in the ring, but after my match with Io, I definitely need to get better and step my game up until we meet again, Io.
So here's the thing. This was the safe play, and I'm happy they did this. Because you have Charlotte win by disqualification or lose by disqualification. Io technically wins the match. Charlotte keeps the title, which is their goal. You're not having Io, take the pin and lose to Charlotte in any way, shape, or form. It keeps Charlotte, looking strong as champion, but, makes Io look even stronger. What I loved was Charlotte gets a lot of shit, but when there's a big match, she saves things for big matches. That figure 4 neck lock, rolling fucking suplex thing, she doesn't do that every match. That's not, that's part of her arsenal that you don't get to see all the time. So when she breaks that out, that it's for something special, and that Io is, and what they're doing with Io is something special because she doesn't pull that out for everyone. You don't see that all the time in every
Right.
match. It's not the moonsault and, her typical WWE series of moves that she has to do every match to, get her shit in.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. Commentary, again, man, dude, commentary is really spot on. Mauro or Tom, one of them were saying that this is what Charlotte used to do when she was in NXT, and she hasn't done it since. Pretty sure she'd done it early on in her main roster call-up, but you don't
I
see
think
it
she
that
did it
often.
against Asuka at WrestleMania.
Oh,
If I
she did.
remember correctly.
She totally
Yeah.
did that. And also, too, in the match, they were telling the story that Io and Asuka go way back in Japan. They were champions together. They were teammates in Japan. And she was also doing in this match, she was going to try to avenge Asuka's loss at WrestleMania to Charlotte. So commentary let you know that there's a lot going on in this match. And like you said, I'm glad they did what they did. I was curious what they were going to do to get out of this predicament. It was too soon to have this match because, again, I agree with you, man. I don't want Io to be the next Bianca Belair in terms of getting title match but not winning the big one, and then she just moves on to the main roster, especially with the rumors that her contract might be up soon. And I don't want to see her leave and not accomplish anything title-wise. Exactly. And even with the Mae Young Classic, she got to the finals and lost that too. So, I mean, we'll see what's up. So after the match, the first what am I saying? Where am I going with this? After the match, Charlotte goes and beats down Io Shirai, takes her to the outside to the ring post, moves the ring steps out of the way. She wants to take out the knee. She wants to take out Io Shirai because she the way I interpreted the entire match was, fuck, this woman's a threat to this title reign of mine. I need to take her out before she gets another opportunity because I could lose to her if she's 100% and we meet in the ring again. So I took it as her taking out the competition so that she don't have to lose the title. Rhea Ripley comes out. She makes her return to NXT, makes the save, tells Charlotte she's not done with her. Charlotte runs off. She scurries off. But Io doesn't appreciate the gesture. She is yelling, screaming at Rhea in Japanese. And it was hilarious because Rhea's walking away, and then you just hear Io just shouting stuff in Japanese to her, and she's like, "Shut up! You should be thankful. Shut up!" Like the entire time, I was just laughing at it. I'm like, "God damn, that's just hilarious." That's that stuff that reminds me of back in the day with my brother and sisters, where they would bug me nonstop. I'm like, "Just shut up, be grateful." I don't know, man. I love that. I thought it was good.
I'm with you on that, and to take it one step further, I'm thinking the reason that Rhea was going through the knee is even if she doesn't injure her to the point to where she can't compete, Io's the genius of the sky. She needs her knees to climb the ropes, to hit the moonsault, all of her aerial offense. She needs her legs for that. So if you take out a leg, you injure a leg, you even make it, 60%, it's slowing her down. It's slowing the pace of the match down, slowing down her offense. Like you said, hindering her going forward and taking away some of her offensive maneuvers. I've got to give NXT props because I swear to God, if Rhea had come out and done her full entrance while Charlotte was beating down Io Shirai, I was going to flip shit. She didn't do the stomp. She didn't do all that shit. She came right down, did what she was supposed to do. She didn't screw her over like she did Bianca.
Dude, I forgot all about that. I'm glad you brought that up. That's so hilarious. I'm glad she didn't do that. That's a good thing. That's a good kudos to NXT. We go to commercial break after this whole stuff that happens, and when we come back, Rhea's approached by, I don't know, generic interviewer number 5 or whatever, whoever it was, and asking her, I'm like, "Oh, why'd you come out and help Io?" And she was saying that she basically isn't done with Charlotte. Yeah, she beat me at WrestleMania, but that was just one match. I have unfinished business with Rhea, with Charlotte. And me personally, I think Rhea, I'm sorry, dude, you tapped out. Clean as a whistle. You have no claim to that title. Why do you mean that you have unfinished business? You got beat. Move on.
Yes and no. I mean, look at Rocky, right?
Okay.
Rocky lost to Apollo.
Okay.
He had unfinished business. He came back after that loss. He trained, got better. He won.
Mm-hmm.
She isn't happy she lost. So her unfinished business is she's got to avenge that loss. She's got to right the wrong. She went into that match cocky as shit, thinking she was the cock of the walk, thinking she was as good, if not better than Charlotte. We
Right.
saw it through that entire build up to that match, and she got humbled. Now that she's been humbled, she's got to come back and avenge it. I honestly think that Rhea's going to be the one to take that belt back off Charlotte when everything's said and done.
I could see it. I could totally see it. So in this backstage interview, like outside of Full Sail, Io finds her again, and they just start tussling. They get into it. The confrontation continued. I loved it. I thought it was great. Rhea called her ungrateful. I thought it was perfect. My question to you is, where does this leave the NXT Women's Title picture? Where do they go from here? What's next?
You got two options. Like I said, I don't know that we're going to get a takeover, so I don't know how fast-tracked everything's going to be going forward, especially without any crowds and however long that takes. So the options are we do what I think would be the smart thing to do, and we do the long play, and we have either one or a series of matches between Io and Rhea to determine who the number one contender for Charlotte is, and then that person faces Charlotte. The other option is they fast track it and they put them in a triple threat match.
Yeah, they could always fast track it. I'd like to see them. This is probably like the standard WWE trope. But what might end up happening is they'll have a match. Io versus Rhea, winner gets Charlotte. Charlotte does the Adam Cole thing and gets one of them disqualified. So there's no winner. William Regal comes out. It's like, Charlotte, you screwed up. It's going to be a triple threat match. That's probably what's going to happen, because that's what happened with the Roderick Strong, Dominik Dijakovic, and Keith Lee match. It turned the North American title match turned into a triple threat. And NXT loves their triple threat matches. They always do these triple threat matches. They like to throw them in there. So that's probably where they're going to go. And like you said, maybe at that point it is Rhea that gets the title off of Charlotte down the line. But I still want Io to get that title. She needs to get it.
If they go to a triple threat match, I'm pretty sure Charlotte's going to retain there. I don't see Charlotte losing in a triple threat match. I think that's going to be something that they're going to want to do one-on-one. So my guess is that depending on whoever, and if I'm right, it's Rhea, depending on whoever they decide they want to be the one to beat Charlotte, the other one's going to take the pin in that triple threat. So Charlotte pins Io or taps out Io, and then Rhea could say, you didn't beat me, you beat her, and then they can continue the feud on from there if they go that route.
That's true. I mean, we'll see, man. The intrigue is there. The one thing I love about pro wrestling is to keep me guessing, keep me interested, and I'm interested in this. Are you interested at all in this Group A matchup between Kushida and Jake Atlas? Were you interested at all?
Not really.
That's fine, man. It's okay. It's okay to be honest.
Like I said, I want to be interested in this cruiserweight tournament. The idea of this cruiserweight tournament where we have an interim cruiserweight champion until all this shit clears up that will go on and will face
Jordan
Devlin, who I love. Like, I love his finish. I love the name of his finish. I love what he's done. I love the Finn Balor apprenticeship and everything that they've kind of built with him over in NXT UK. Now him coming over and doing like the world tour it was all great until all this shit happened.
Right.
But there's no one that really in this tournament, like, I have my picks. I have the people I want to see win. I love Swerve. I want to see Swerve get that opportunity and get that push. He's got the one loss already, and it looks like Tozawa and Kushida are already 2-0. Kushida, the Back to the Future thing is cool. Like, he's had some good matches. It doesn't really do it for me, though. And Jake Atlas came out of fucking nowhere and beat Swerve that first week. And I was like, well, what the fuck is this shit? Who the fuck is this guy? Like, I don't know. Phantasma I was excited for, and we'll see where that goes, because that didn't go where I thought it was going to go, and that kind of threw me off. So
for sure. So going back to the match real quick, it was a very fast-paced match. I liked it. I just kind of wish we were given a little bit more, but overall, I enjoyed the match. It just was a little bit short for my taste. I think it's just because they had so many big things planned on NXT that it was kind of like just thrown to the wayside. Unfortunately, it suffered because of it. It should have gotten a couple more minutes. It could have been really, really good. I like the chemistry between the two of them. Kushida does pick up the victory, which means that him and Tozawa are both 2-0 in their respective side of the bracket. So it looks like they might be facing each other unless Phantasma or Swerve get a victory over Tozawa. So Tozawa has to lose one match, and Swerve and Phantasma have to pick up a win in order for them to catch up. Because there's no other way for them to catch up, I don't think.
And how do you think that's going to play out? Do you see Swerve getting the win, or do you see them pushing Phantasma, or do you see maybe like you guys were talking about it and we talked about it. We don't know necessarily where Phantasma stands with this mystery masked man luchador faction and a white van that are abducting people, but can't seem to grab him.
Right.
Do they cost him this tournament, or are they actually working for him? Like, who do you see? I honestly cannot imagine the finals being Tozawa versus Kushida. Like, I just
No.
can't.
I like the diversity. It's a nice change of pace compared to other wrestling on the States, where you see people of color getting a little bit more opportunity, because you don't usually see that a lot. Kushida was the one guy on the Group A side of the bracket where I kind of felt like he was going to be the guy. And I thought Phantasma was going to be the guy because they were building him up, gassing him up. Here's the thing. If he's really the ringleader of this whole Mass Luchador Mafia thing, he's going to win. But if they're going to do a thing where they abduct him and then convert him into a dark side or whatever, then they'll cost him the match in order to transform him into this heel persona. In which case, I can see Swerve being in the finals. I would like to see it be Swerve versus Kushida, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Tozawa versus Kushida as well.
I would.
But
don't get me wrong. I love Tozawa. He's great, but you just said it. Swerve versus Kushida, that's going to be a banger of a fucking match.
Oh, for sure.
Tozawa's good. He's fine. He was Cruiserweight champion. Like, you were talking about the stuff he did on 205 Live where he thought he was GM and all that stuff. He's got personality. He's great. But if I'm looking at a main event match for a Cruiserweight title, Swerve versus Kushida topples just about any other matchup I could think of, but definitely over Tozawa.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if I got in it, but I would much rather prefer a match between Kushida and Swerve. We'll see. It's either him or Phantasma that are going to get it. I think they're just trying to build it up so that it looks like Tozawa is going to get the win, but then in reality, it's Phantasma or someone else that gets it.
So you're saying that Drake Maverick has no chance in hell?
No chance in hell. Zero. Zilch. Nada. But let's move on, man. Next up, we had Finn Balor. He was going to address his attackers. And I loved his promo because he didn't even go to the ring. He just got up to that little stand, like that little NXT stand that they have at the top of the stage. I loved it. It was very what's the word I'm looking for? It was I just like his tone and his demeanor when he was delivering the promo. In essence, he was just saying that he thought there was the biggest snakes were the ones in management, but he was wrong. Turns out that there's a snake in the locker room. He mentioned something about Wrestling 101. You attack the biggest star and you receive a big push. However, then once you get that big push, you get the fancy entrance, the smoke, the lasers. But then it all changes when you get in the ring with the Prince. And he claims he makes this final bold statement saying that whoever attacked him, this won't be the big push you envision. This will be a squash, which I freaking love that, the phrasing of it, because this new Finn Balor that's been on NXT, it's he uses this insider term similar to what the Young Bucks were doing early on in their PWG career, where we know this terminology, and it just makes them a little bit more cooler, a little bit more edgier for me personally.
I feel so bad for Finn Balor. I feel because everything with this guy since he got called up to the main roster has been start and stop. They did it with the Universal title where he won it, but he got injured and he had to let go and this and that. Then he comes back down to NXT and he's supposed to face Johnny. And then Johnny got hurt and that whole thing got delayed. Yeah. And then it's all right, well, we're going to do something with you and Walter. And then Corona hits and that gets not.
Yeah.
And then they're all right, well, we'll put you in with Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream. And, we'll kind of mix that up in there. And, maybe you'll have an issue with Dream. And then allegedly Dream starts sending dick pics to underage girls and that shit gets fucked up.
Yeah.
So now he's shifted his plans to someone else, which I'm sure you're going to talk about now.
Yeah. So afterwards, we had immediately, because I love that he ended his promo saying like it's going to be a squash, because immediately after that we had a squash match. Cameron Grimes taking on Denzel Dejanette. I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly. It was a squash match, but Denzel catches Grimes off guard early on, takes him down with a couple of amateur wrestling moves, but it just takes one cave-in by Cameron Grimes to pick up the win. I love Cameron Grimes. He's like a sneaky, entertaining guy on your roster that you kind of just want to fill out your roster. If you're building the show, you want a Cameron Grimes in there just to fill out like the middle part of your show, because the way it was delivered was perfect. So he cuts a promo. He was basically saying that NXT is changing out here. It's getting a little grimy. It's grime time, and like alluding to what Finn Balor was saying, you got to take out the top guy, but someone beat him to the punch. But you know what? If Finn Balor is here, I would slap him across his face. He starts talking shit, and I loved it because they took advantage of the new camera angle where you can see in the background Finn Balor's like, what the fuck is going on? So he's slowly making his way down the ramp to the ring, and Cameron Grimes
just running his mouth.
Just running his mouth. And then it's not until he gets to the side, and it's like, what were you saying? What were you talking about? And then Cameron Grimes is very apologetic. It's like, oh man, it's not all that, man. I was trying to do something. Like, no offense. But Finn is having none of it. He is pissed off. He gets in his face. They eventually do come to blows with Finn Balor coming out on top with like a grounded coup de grace. And just Finn Balor, this attack has unleashed a little bit more aggressiveness to Finn. If he could get any more aggressive, he got into the camera. Let me see. I have it on my notes. I'm trying to like make sure I don't butcher what he's saying. Let's see. He says that there's a snake in that locker. There's a snake in the grass in that locker room, and he will find them. I liked it because they're basically doing who done it storyline, and NXT does that a lot. They did that with the Aleister Black stuff, who attacked Aleister. They do that a lot in NXT. I like that. I'm a big fan of that.
And they killed it with Aleister. Like everything they did with Aleister Black leading up to the reveal that it was Johnny Gargano for Johnny's initial heel turn that kind of went sideways with Ciampa. But the stuff with Nikki Cross being there and doing the I'll never tell, like it was all fantastic. And if they can do that with Finn and they can recreate some of that magic, this is going to be really fun, because I honestly have no idea who in that NXT locker room could have attacked Finn Balor and taken Finn Balor out, or why they would.
Gotcha. Okay, well, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind in your head. See if you can come up with something at the end of the show. We'll end things off. We'll cap things off with like a bunch of questions for next week, and I'll get your input on it, given that you're not a regular on the show, but a very welcome guest.
And an avid listener.
And we appreciate that, man. We love you. We love you for that. Main event time now. NXT title match. Velveteen Dream versus Adam Cole. First off, I was a little surprised that this was the main event given the controversy with Velveteen Dream. I kind of figured they would kind of do this early on and just end this this match quickly. Just move on from Velveteen for a minute until this whole thing cools off.
And I'm glad they didn't, because if you do that, that makes Velveteen look guilty. And right now, it's an alleged thing. He says he didn't do it. I talked about it. I don't see him logically going and telling everyone, I'm opening my DMs, and then sending and doing that kind of shit.
Right.
Especially, with everything that's gone on in wrestling with sex tapes and so on and so forth, just like openly just in front of everyone blatantly doing that shit.
Right.
I don't see it. I don't know what's going on. So my thought is, by making this the main event, even though they couldn't necessarily go with Velveteen Dream as the winner here.
Yeah, I knew that he wasn't going to win.
We'll talk about how they finished it. Again, it's the safe route, because they're not, by putting him in the main event, they're not condemning him. They're not saying, he's guilty until proven innocent and we're washing our hands of it. They're still giving him that main event spot. They didn't beat him cleanly and write him off. So they're not necessarily, throwing him under the bus and saying, yeah, he did some dumb shit, we're done with him. They're kind of letting it play out, but they're also not putting him in a spot to where if it does come out that he actually did do the shit, right, they've made him champion or they've made him the face of the company.
Right, for sure, man. And like, without going too much deep into the whole situation, I basically my approach is I'm washing my hands from this conversation. I'm gonna let the authorities handle that. That's not my issue. It's not my place to judge whether or not like accuse like the victims here it claiming like, oh no, you're lying, or just like claim that the dream is guilty. I don't have enough information to form an opinion right now, so I'm just gonna leave it at that and just talk about the wrestling. And that's exactly where we're gonna go, man. The match started off pretty quickly, man. They threw the metaphorical haymakers to start off. I loved it because it felt like, and I say this a lot because they do this a lot in NXT and AEW, where it felt like a 2K match, a WWE 2K match, where you coming in like just running, doing like a running strike, try to hit your finisher, try to hit like a signature, a big attack move. I loved it. Early on, Adam Cole tries to go for the last shot, try to end this pretty quickly, and it was very aggressive. And given the story of these two guys, their storyline to build up to this match, it makes zero sense for them to go in there and just do some headlocks and some rest holds and some takedowns, you know?
Yeah. And that's not really, I haven't seen that style from Adam Cole or Velveteen Dream. I mean, I've seen Velveteen Dream do some headlocks and rest holds, but I mean, that's not really, unless he's doing that to kind of get heat, that's not really his style, and that's not the position he's in this match, is trying to draw heat from the crowd. So I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting exactly what we got, and it was fantastic. Especially later on in the match where, you know, they do that. It's kind of become an NXT trope, in my opinion, where they get worn down and now they're just kind of throwing punches back and forth from a sitting position or a kneeling position.
Right.
They're just so gassed from going so hard that this is all they've got left. Like, like,
here's the thing. I think it works perfectly when you're telling a story like a grudge feud between like a Kevin Owens and a Sami Zayn, or a Johnny versus Tommaso, or even like if they went like an Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae. If you're going like in a grueling, tough match, like this is like the second or third time these wrestlers that face off against each other, then that's when you do it. But if you're doing it consistently a lot, it doesn't really like hit close to home, because this is like the first match these two have had against each other. You're trying to tell me you guys came in with like half empty gas tanks and you were done within like 7 minutes of the match? Come on now.
True.
So like you were saying, at halfway through the match, I guess according to Undisputed Era, it looked like Adam Cole was in trouble because they come out, they try to make the save, they try to assist him. But I love this. Dexter Lumis just popped out of nowhere underneath the ring and just blocked them from interfering and coming into the ring.
What is with this creepy ass motherfucker? He's everywhere. He's hiding in corners and spotlights. Now he's under the ring. I said it. I need him to get body bags. I would have loved to see, after all this happened, as Adam Cole's getting the pin, you just see Dexter Lumis dragging one of the Undisputed Era up the rampway like fucking Roderick Strong in a body bag, just kind of dragging him away. And Adam Cole's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, this guy, I did not think much of him in the breakout tournament. What they have done with him within the last few weeks, every week, he's getting more intriguing. He's getting more interesting. He's coming out and doing cool, weird shit. He's got my attention. It's fucking fantastic. He was the highlight of this match, and it wasn't a bad match, but like you said, you know, it wasn't that blood feud. It was their first time kind of getting into it, and it wasn't the greatest main event I've seen on NXT, but this
of course.
highlight.
Yeah. So the thing about Dexter Lumis that I love is he's a character wrestler. And you don't see too many of those on NXT. I know RN for a long time, he's been saying like everyone's a good wrestler. I'm sick and tired. Like, your gimmick is I'm a good wrestler, and I don't like that. He says that about a good handful of people in NXT, and I agree with him. NXT does need a little bit more characters. We make fun of WWE main roster for having all these like gimmicky like characters, but look at Undertaker, one of the great wrestlers and characters of all time. It's
the greatest.
It's the silliest gimmick ever. Everyone has their own personal opinion. He's not the greatest for me, but he's definitely top 3, top 5 for me.
If we had time, I'd die in that hill, and we'd spend another hour arguing that. But I know
Oh,
we
we'll do a spin-off podcast called Smack Raw Shoots, and then we'll just shoot everything there. We'll do that. Going back to the match, at one point, Roddy and Undisputed Era tried to interfere again, and Dexter Lumis launches Roderick Strong into the air, knocks the referee out. Poor Velveteen Dream, because during the midst of the referee getting knocked out, he hits the Purple Rainmaker, gets to 1, 2, 3. He's like, "Ref, where are you, ref?" And then it's just the standard wrestling trope. The ref is out. He's like, "God damn." Adam Cole is able to get his composure, get the situation turned in his favor. Hits a super kick once the ref is up. Hits him with the last shot. 1, 2, 3. The winner and still NXT champion Adam Cole. One would assume that Dream is done with the title. At least I was, but commentary made it seem like that perhaps he's not done just yet. This is an over between Dream and Adam Cole, and they also just threw in the little tidbit. Well, perhaps Loomis hurt Velveteen Dream more than he actually helped, because if he wasn't there, the ref doesn't get bumped and he doesn't get distracted, and he's able to win the title there. So there's a case for both sides there.
And this is exactly what I was talking about, is they did not beat Velveteen Dream clean. They left it open to where Velveteen Dream can dispute because of interference, because of the ref being knocked out, that he should be, could be, would be NXT champion at this point. So they've left it open for there right now to possibly be a future, if they decide to go back to this, between Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream down the line, as everything gets straightened out and they figure out what's going on. So like I said, they did the same thing with the Io Shirai. This is a very safe ending, is you're not ready to commit, but you don't want to hurt either character. So you finish the match this way. You finish the match the way they did with Charlotte. No one really loses anything here, and it just kind of continues things on till later.
Right. Yeah.
Puts it in a holding pattern.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Dexter Lumis could easily be that guy that kind of comes in and tries to be helpful and fucks shit up. Like I likened him to Elmira from Tiny Toons on our show because he choked that dude out last week, and he was just like cuddling his head in his lap and petting him. He squeezed him too hard. Like, he could be that big, dumb, lovable giant who's just out there trying to do something good and trips over his own feet and fucks shit up. And Velveteen Dream's not the guy that's going to fucking handle, like, he's not going to take that shit.
Bro, I love the Tiny Toons reference, man. That brings me back to like me getting ready for middle school, like waking up like an hour beforehand, and Tiny Toons is playing in the background as I'm getting dressed for school. That, oh my god, I love the reference.
I hope that every time you see Dexter Lumis win a match and he's doing that, you hear, "I want to love him and hug him and squeeze him."
I'm gonna definitely think about that going forward. So I got a couple questions for you, Matt, and we'll go from there. First off, who's your pick to win the whole tournament? Since we're probably not going to get you back on the show within the next couple of weeks, who do you think is going to win that championship? Not just like when they're set of the bracket. Overall, who's going to walk away champion?
I'm going to agree with something that I heard you guys talk about. Logically, I think it's going to be Kushida. I think that's the guy walking away from the whole thing. I generally like to predict with my heart, and if I was predicting with my heart, I'd say Swerve, because that's the guy I want to see win it.
Right.
But logically, with everything they've done with Kushida since he's debuted and kind of the position they put him in, even going up against Walter and everything they've done, he seems like the biggest, in their mind, star of that group. It's going to be Kushida.
Oh yeah, for me, I think it's a no-brainer. Kushida has to win, especially once you set up, once things get back to normal. You set up that Jordan Devlin Kushida match, and you don't know how long this is going to be. So Kushida could have a couple-month reign, and then he goes into a program with Jordan Devlin, and now there's some heat there because both of them have a great claim to be champion because they both had solid reigns. So we'll see what happens with that. Matt, who do you think attacked Finn Balor? Do you have any suspects, any leading suspects here?
I'm going to go way off the deep end, and I'm probably completely wrong, but I'm going to say that Finn Balor was jumped by Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendez on behalf of Phantasma, and this is because they're not going to have him win the tournament. They're going to kind of drag this out before we find out that he's the leader of this faction. when we find out he's the leader of this faction, after Finn finds out that it was these two masked men that jumped him, and we get the reveal that Phantasma's kind of been leading this, that's going to lead to that feud between those two later.
Oh, I love that, man. I love that fantasy booking you're bringing out here, man. It probably it's probably going to be carrying cross. There was some foreshadowing there in Finn's promo. He was saying like, "Oh, you go ahead, you take out the big star, and you get that big push. You get the fancy entrance with the lasers, the smoke." Well, what did we see tonight? We saw a big push for carrying cross, big debut, fancy entrance. You saw the smoke, the lights. Maybe it was cross. Maybe there was a little foreshadowing as to what's to come. And he also took out Tommaso Ciampa. So he could be just that guy that just takes out all the top guys.
And then has 2-minute squash matches with PC talent.
We'll see, man. Okay. Next week, we have 2 matches confirmed. We have the tag title match between Imperium and Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher. Almost
Winning the tag team titles, baby.
Yeah, you're already winning the titles, Matt. Who do you think is going to win this? So do you think Imperium's going to get the titles, or does Matt? I can't do it, man. I see why people confuse me for Matt Riddle. I see why people confuse your name.
That's why I can't stand the guy. I'm going to go with Imperium. I want to see Imperium win. Since they've been this faction in NXT UK and even on NXT, they haven't done much. Right now, the guy that they put the title on in that makeshift team that worked for the Broserweights, Matt Riddle, isn't with his tag team partner. This also, depending on how it plays out with Timothy Thatcher and his temperament, could lead to, after Imperium beats them, a little dissension between Thatcher and Riddle that could go off into a side feud there. Give them something to do off to the side as Imperium kind of holds on to the titles and feuds with Undisputed Era or whoever else in that. I mean, there's not a whole lot in it, which is crazy because they normally have a stacked tag team division. I guess they got Lorcan and Birch, but like normally the tag team division's so stacked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then you got Malcolm Bivens with fucking AOP 2.0.
Yeah. You know what? NXT suffers through this a lot. They build up they get a deep division, either women's division, tag team division, or mid card or upper mid card or main event scene, and then they get depleted by main roster getting called up, and that's what happened. They lost Street Profits, they lost AOP, they lost Viking Raiders, they lost even Forgotten Sons. I was about to call them Sons of Anarchy. That's how little I remember them.
Fuck the Forgotten Sons.
Let's not go into it, man. I don't want to give them any kind of screen time. Next match, Cameron Grimes, Finn Balor. We're gonna get this match because it was set up this week. Obviously, Finn Balor, right?
I'm gonna actually go Grimes, and I'm gonna say Grimes gets the win because we find out who attacked Finn Balor, and that person cost Finn the match.
Okay. Do you think? I don't think they'll do it so soon, though, man. But I could be wrong.
I mean, listen, we had a fast-forwarded North American title feud between Keith Lee and Damian. We fast-forwarded through this Velveteen Dream thing pretty quickly. I know there might be other reasons why, but they've kind of been jumping the gun and fast-forwarding through and burning through everything pretty quickly. I would not be surprised if next week during that match they reveal who Finn Balor's attacker is.
Fair point. We'll see what happens next week. But that's the show, guys. Anything else you want to touch on the show before we sign things off?
No, I'm just I'm again thankful that you had me on. I appreciate it, and I'm really interested to know when the next episode of
Smack Raw Wrestling.
Yeah, it's going to drop on YouTube.
So we had a couple tech issues. So unfortunately, my power went out in my living room and bedroom, and that's usually where I stream and host all my stuff. So until we're able to get like an electrician or a handyman to come in here and get that whole situation out, I am out of lights. I'm actually in my sister's room. That's why you see this amazing SpongeBob painting. She actually painted it herself. So
that's dope.
Yeah. Hold up. Let me show you something. Since you're a DBZ fan, I got something for you. Hold up.
All right.
Check this out.
Wow. She did that herself.
Yeah, she painted that herself. With this whole quarantine, she's been getting like these frames or whatever, like these
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. I don't know what you call them. I'm not an art. Canvases. Yes, she gets these canvases and just sits there, starts drawing. You watched that 70 show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know the scene where they're in the circle and then Fez is like, guys, I kind of wish we were cartoon teenagers. So she does like a split screen of the four of them as Scooby-Doo characters, and she actually made $40 off of that. So if you guys have any inquiries on these kind of paintings, go ahead and hit up my DMs at SCS Vince. I would let her know. You guys, depending on the price, it could be like a good $40, but these are high quality paintings. You can't get these anywhere else other than the Delgado household.
And what you should do is, because there's a lot of shit out there for it, you should try and get her to sketch some wrestlers in cartoon form or whatever she's comfortable with, because that'll sell in the wrestling community like hotcakes. You can even post that and tag the wrestler in it and get some likes on that shit.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Last thing I want to say is a thank you to Matt for joining the show today. I really do appreciate it, man. You totally killed it. Ryan would be proud. Once again, before we sign off, let everyone know where they can find you, just in case they tuned in halfway through the show.
Twitter at Matt Ridder, that is at MATTRIDDER. And you guys can join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/SmackinItRaw. It's Smackin without the G.
Cool. And when do you usually record your shows? When do you usually drop?
We record our shows Friday night. They drop Saturday night, Sunday morning.
All right, perfect. There you go, guys. So if you ever want to check out the Smackin' Raw podcast, go ahead and give them a listen. They're great guys. I love Travis' input on stuff because he's like, nope. Like he's stuck in his certain ways. And I love how like you try to come at him with a certain direction with something. It's like, well, that's your opinion. That's certain people's opinion. That's not my opinion. That's not factual. I love it, man. Sometimes he just like shuts you down sometimes.
Yeah,
I like the dynamic. But with that being said, guys, this has been the Smack Raw Podcast NXT episode. We thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Later, y'all.
Bye.